Blood tastes like copper and fear. I learned that tonight when Marcus's fist connected with my mouth for the third time. Now I'm sitting in the emergency room at Mercy Hospital, pressing an ice pack against my swollen face while trying to remember how to breathe without my ribs screaming. The intake nurse barely looked at me when I said I fell down the stairs. She's heard it before. I saw it in her eyes. That mixture of pity and frustration that makes my stomach twist. She wrote something on my chart and told me to wait. I've been waiting 23 minutes. I know because I've been watching the clock above the reception desk, counting seconds, trying to focus on anything except the throbbing pain radiating through my entire body. My left arm is purple from wrist to elbow. Tomorrow, it'll be darker. Tomorrow, I'll need long sleeves again. The ER is chaos tonight. October rain brought accidents. Apparently, 2 ambulances arrived since I got here. Sirens wailing, paramedics shouting medical jargon I don't understand despite being a teacher. I should probably know more about anatomy. Then again, I shouldn't need to know which bones break easiest. Elena Foster. I stand too quickly. Pain explodes through my torso, and I have to grab the armrest to keep from falling. The nurse pretends not to notice. Exam room 4. Follow me. The hallway smells like antiseptic and bad coffee. We pass rooms with curtains drawn. Voices murmuring behind them. Someone is crying softly. Someone else is arguing with a doctor about insurance. Normal hospital sounds. Except none of this is normal. None of this should be happening. Exam room 4 is small and cold. The nurse takes my vitals without speaking. Blood pressure elevated. Pulse racing. Temperature normal. She writes everything down. The doctor will be in shortly. You'll need x-rays for those ribs. She leaves before I can respond. I sit on the paper-covered table, and it crinkles beneath me. The sound is too loud in the silence. I stare at my hands. My knuckles are scraped from when I tried to shield my face. It didn't work. I should call Riley. My sister will be worried if I don't check in. We talk every few days, and she always asks the same question. Are you okay? I always lie and say yes. Tonight, the lie would be harder to sell. She'd hear it in my voice. She'd know. Sophia from work texted me earlier asking if I wanted to grab dinner tomorrow. Sweet Sophia, who brought me coffee last week when I looked tired. She doesn't know why I'm always tired. She doesn't know about the nights I spend sleeping in my car because going home feels dangerous. She tried to help once, suggested I talk to someone. I told her everything was fine. Everyone thinks everything is fine. The door opens, but it's not a doctor. It's a man in a dark suit, tall and broad-shouldered, with the kind of presence that fills a room immediately. He looks at me with eyes that are calculating and intense. Miss Foster, not a question, a statement. My heart hammers against my damaged ribs. I'm waiting for the doctor. My name is Luca. He steps inside and closes the door behind him. My employer would like to speak with you. I don't know your employer. Not yet. He gestures toward the hallway. He's in a private room down the hall. It'll only take a moment. Fear spikes through me, sharp and immediate. This is wrong. Everything about this is wrong. I don't think. Please. His tone softened slightly. He heard about your situation. He'd like to help. I don't need help. I fell down some stairs. Luca's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his gaze. Recognition, maybe, or disappointment. The stairs, right. He opens the door wider. 5 minutes of your time. That's all he's asking. I should refuse. Should tell him to leave. Call for security. Make a scene. But there's something in the way he's standing there, patient and calm, that makes me hesitate. And beneath the fear is something else. Curiosity, maybe, or desperation. 5 minutes, I hear myself say. The hallway feels longer walking back through it. Luca moves with precision, his footsteps measured and quiet despite his size. We pass exam room 3, exam room 2, and stop at a door marked private suite. He knocks once. A voice from inside says, "Come in." Luca opens the door and steps aside, letting me enter first. The room is nicer than the one I was in. Actual furniture instead of just an exam table, a small sofa, a television mounted on the wall, and sitting in a chair near the window with his right shoulder heavily bandaged, is a man who makes my breath catch. He's maybe 35 with black hair, and eyes so dark they're almost black, too. Sharp features, strong jaw, the kind of face that belongs in movies or magazines. He's wearing a hospital gown, but somehow makes it look deliberate. When he looks at me, I feel exposed in a way that has nothing to do with my injuries. Thank you, Luca. His voice is low, controlled. Close the door, Luca does. I hear the soft click and realize I'm alone with a stranger who shouldn't know my name. Who are you? My voice shakes despite my effort to sound steady. Domenico Torino. He gestures to the chair across from him. Please sit. You look like you're about to collapse. He's not wrong. I sink into the chair, grateful to be off my feet. Domenico watches me with an intensity that should feel threatening, but somehow doesn't. I apologize for the unusual approach. I heard the nurses talking about you about what they think happened. Heat floods my face. They don't know anything. They know what domestic violence looks like. The words land like a punch. I look away, focusing on the window behind him. Rain streams down the glass, distorting the city lights beyond. I fell, I repeat, down the stairs. His tone makes it clear he doesn't believe me. How many stairs? I don't remember. Did you hit your head? Then you'd remember. He leans forward slightly, winces, and settles back. I'm not here to judge you or force you to admit anything. I'm here to offer you a way out. I meet his gaze. A way out of what? Whatever situation led you to this hospital tonight. Anger flares through the fear and pain. You don't know anything about my situation. I know what it's like to watch someone you care about suffer and feel powerless to stop it. His expression darkens. I know what it's like to live in fear. And I know what it's like to finally decide you've had enough. Something in his voice makes me pause. There's history there. Pain that mirrors my own. Why do you care? I ask quietly. Domenico is silent for a long moment. When he speaks again, his voice is rougher. My mother. She stayed with my father for 16 years. Of broken bones and black eyes and apologies that meant nothing. I was too young to help her for most of it. When I finally got old enough, strong enough, I made sure he never hurt her again. The implications in that statement are clear. I should be terrified, should run from this room and never look back. But I'm frozen in place, caught between horror and something that feels dangerously close to hope. I don't know you, I say. No, but I'm offering you protection, a safe place, resources. Whatever you need to get away from whoever did this to you. I have a sister, Riley. She lives in Brooklyn. She'd worry. You can contact her. Explain that you're safe. I have a job. I teach elementary school. My students need me, and you'll return to them when you're ready. I shake my head. You're talking about leaving my entire life behind. I'm talking about staying alive. The bluntness of it steals my breath because he's right. Some part of me, the part I've been ignoring for months, knows that Marcus is going to kill me eventually. I let it ring. She'll hear the fear in my voice, and I can't explain. Can't tell her that I'm trapped and terrified and don't know how to get out. Wednesday is worse. Thursday is unbearable. Marcus doesn't go to job interviews he claims to have. Drinks starting at noon. Watches me with eyes that promise violence. I go to school and teach and smile and pretend. Come home and walk on eggshells. Sleep with the bedroom door locked. On Thursday night, he decides he's had enough of pretending, too. I'm washing dishes when he comes into the kitchen. Already drunk. Already angry. Who is he? Who is who? Don't play dumb. The guy you're screwing, my heart stops. There's no one, Marcus. I swear. He grabs a plate from the drying rack and hurls it at the wall. It shatters. I flinch. You think I don't notice? You think I'm that stupid? I'm not seeing anyone. I go to work and come home. That's it. Another plate. Another explosion of ceramic. Then why are you different? Why don't you look at me anymore? I do look at you. Look through me like I'm not even here. He's advancing now. I'm backing toward the hallway. Like you're waiting for something better. That's not true. Maybe I should remind you what you've got. His hand shoots out, grabs my arm. The same arm that's still bruised. Pain explodes up to my shoulder. I wrench free and run. Make it to the bathroom. Lock the door as his fist hammers against it. Open the door. Leave me alone. Open it, or I'll break it down. He means it. I can hear it in his voice. Can hear him testing the door frame. It won't hold. Old building. Cheap construction landlord who fixes nothing. My bag is on the bathroom counter. I dumped it there this morning. My phone is inside. I grab it with trembling fingers. The card is still there, tucked in the inner pocket where I put it 5 days ago and haven't looked at since. White, plain, a phone number that might mean nothing or might mean everything. I dial before I can talk myself out of it. Rings once, twice. A man answers on the third ring. Yes, this is Elena Foster. We met at the hospital. You gave me your number and said, I remember. Domenico's voice is calm, controlled. What's happening? Marcus kicks the door. The frame splinters slightly. I let out a sound that might be a sob. Where are you? Domenico asks. My apartment. He's trying to break down the door. Give me the address. Somehow I remember it despite the terror making my thoughts scatter. We're coming. 15 minutes. Can you stay safe that long? I don't know. Elena, his voice changes. Becomes urgent. Listen to me. Move anything heavy you can in front of that door. Buy yourself time. We're already moving. I can hear it. Voices in the background. Orders being given. An engine starting. I'm scared, I whisper. I know. Hold on. The line stays open. I can hear him talking to someone. Luca, I think, giving directions, telling someone to move faster. Marcus hits the door again. Wood cracks. He's going to get through. I shove the laundry hamper against the door, then the small bathroom cabinet. It won't hold long, but it might give me minutes. Elena. Domenico's voice. Still here. 8 minutes. Can you hear sirens? I listen. Nothing yet. Just Marcus cursing and hammering on the door. No sirens. There won't be. We're not police. That should terrify me. Should send up red flags and warning signals. But all I feel is relief. Time stretches. Each second lasting hours. Marcus's assault on the door becoming more violent. Wood splintering. The lock bending. Then suddenly silence. I hold my breath. Listen. Voices. New ones. Authoritative. Step back from the door. Luca. I recognize his voice from the hospital. Now, who the hell are you, Marcus? Slurring, confused. Someone who's going to give you a choice. You can walk out of here on your own, or we can carry you. Your decision. This is my apartment. You can't. The sound of a scuffle. Marcus shouting. Then nothing. A knock on the bathroom door. Gentle. It's Luca. You can open up now. I move the hamper, the cabinet. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely turn the lock. The door opens and Luca is there looking exactly as I remember. Calm, professional. Behind him, the apartment is empty except for broken dishes and overturned furniture. Where is he? Being secured. Torino is downstairs. He'd like to speak with you. I step into the hallway on legs that barely support my weight. Everything feels surreal, like I'm watching this happen to someone else. Domenico is in the building entrance, still wearing a sling on his right arm. When he sees me, something in his expression shifts, becomes gentler. Are you hurt? Can't speak. Get whatever you need from the apartment. You're not staying here tonight. Somewhere safe. Somewhere he can't find you. Domenico looks at Luca. Help her pack. 5 minutes. Luca escorts me back upstairs. I move through the apartment like a ghost, grabbing clothes, toiletries, my laptop. Everything fits in one bag. My entire life reduced to essentials. Downstairs, a black SUV idles at the curb. Domenico opens the back door for me. I climb in, clutching my bag. The city passes outside the windows. I watch without really seeing. We drive for 20 minutes, maybe more. The neighborhoods improve. Buildings get taller, cleaner, more expensive. We stop in front of a high-rise in Upper Manhattan. The kind of building with a doorman and marble lobby and elevators that don't creak. Domenico leads me inside. The doorman nods at him. No questions. No surprise at the late hour or the woman with one bag following him. The penthouse is on the 32nd floor. The elevator opens directly into it. I step out and stop. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Modern furniture. Art on the walls. So much space after years in a cramped 2-bedroom with water-stained ceilings. Guest room is down that hall. Domenico says bathroom attached. Help yourself to anything you need. I don't understand. My voice sounds strange, distant. Why are you doing this? Because nobody should live in fear. He moves toward the kitchen, favoring his injured shoulder. Are you hungry? I'm not. Haven't been able to eat properly in days. But I nod anyway. Domenico pulls out ingredients with his good hand. Makes sandwiches. Pours water. We sit at the kitchen island in silence. What about Marcus? I ask finally. He's being questioned. We need to know if he'll be a problem going forward. And then Domenico meets my eyes. That depends on you. On what you want to happen. This is your choice, Elena. It always has been. I take a shaky breath. I want to never see him again. Then you won't. It's that simple. That final. I should ask what that means. Should demand details. But exhaustion crashes over me like a wave. And suddenly I can't keep my eyes open. You should sleep, Domenico says. We can talk more in the morning. He shows me to the guest room. King-sized bed, soft carpet, windows with curtains that actually block out light. It's the nicest room I've ever been in. When the door closes behind him, I sit on the edge of the bed and cry. Not from fear anymore, from relief. From the realization that for the first time in 3 years, I'm somewhere Marcus can't reach me. I lie down fully clothed and sleep deeper than I have in months. When I wake, sunlight is streaming through gaps in the curtains. I check my phone. 9:30 in the morning, Friday. I should be at school. I find Domenico in the kitchen making coffee. His sling is off, but he moves carefully. Feeling better? He asks. I think so. I need to call school. Tell them I won't be in. Already handled. Luca called this morning. Told them you had a family emergency. That should bother me. That he's making decisions without asking. But I'm grateful. I don't have the strength to lie to my principal right now. What happens now? I ask. That's up to you. He pours coffee into 2 mugs. Adds cream to mine without asking. Somehow he knows how I take it. You can stay here as long as you need. I have business to handle, but Luca will be here. You'll be safe. And Marcus, he won't be bothering you anymore. The way he says it makes my stomach twist. What did you do to him? Nothing permanent. Yet. He hands me the coffee. That changes if he doesn't take the hint. I should be horrified by the implications. Should demand details. Should insist on knowing exactly what Domenico means by taking care of Marcus. But all I feel is relief so profound it makes my knees weak. For the first time in 3 years, I'm not afraid. 3 weeks pass. I don't leave the penthouse. Don't want to. Luca brings whatever I need. Books, clothes that actually fit, groceries. I read. I cook. I sleep without nightmares. I heal in ways that have nothing to do with my bruises fading. Domenico is gone most days. Business, Luca says when I ask. But he's back every evening. We eat dinner together. Talk about safe things. Books, movies, the news. Never about what happened. Never about who he really is or what he does during the day. I know he's dangerous. I'm not naive. Men like Marcus don't just disappear because of a conversation. But Domenico is gentle with me. Patient. He never pushes, never demands explanations, never makes me feel like I owe him anything. On the 4th week, I make a decision. I can't hide forever. I need to go back to my life. To my job. To some version of normal. I tell Domenico over dinner. He sets down his fork, studies my face. You're sure? I'm sure. I can't let fear control me anymore. He nods slowly. Then we'll make arrangements. Security, transport, whatever you need. I don't need a bodyguard to teach 3rd grade. You might. He meets my gaze. The world I live in, Elena, the things I've done to protect you. They have consequences. People know you matter to me now. That makes you a target. The words send cold fear down my spine. I hadn't considered that. Hadn't thought about the ripple effects of accepting his help. I want to go back to work, I repeat, but quietly now. Then you will. We'll just be careful about it. That's how I end up with 2 guards I never see, but know are always there. Luca drives me to school, picks me up after. The penthouse becomes home in a way my apartment never was. Domenico becomes a constant in my life that I start to depend on. It takes me 6 weeks to realize I'm falling in love with him. The realization hits me on a Tuesday morning. I'm making breakfast when he walks into the kitchen, hair damp from the shower, wearing a suit that probably costs more than I make in a month. He kisses my cheek before taking his coffee. A casual gesture, domestic and natural. Good morning, he says, and something in my chest flutters. Good morning. I watch him read the newspaper, and the feeling is so strong it takes my breath away. This dangerous man who saved me, who gave me back my life, who makes me feel safe for the first time in years. I love him. I don't tell him. Not yet. But I start paying attention to the little things. The way he always makes sure I eat. How he listens when I talk about my students. The careful way he touches me, like I'm something precious that might break. One evening, I find him in his study. Door open, but he's clearly working. Numbers on the computer screen. Financial records maybe. I should leave him alone. You know, I could help with that, I say instead. He looks up, surprised. With what? The books. Financial analysis. It's what I did before teaching. Business management. I'm good with numbers, patterns, finding discrepancies. Domenico leans back in his chair. You want to help with my business. I want to be useful. Want to contribute something besides just existing in your space. He's quiet for a long moment. Then he gestures to the chair beside his desk. Show me. We spend 2 hours going through his financial records. I identify 4 separate instances of embezzlement. All small enough to go unnoticed individually, but totaling nearly $200,000 over the past year. Who oversees these accounts? Vincent Rossetti, one of my financial managers. Domenico pulls out his phone. Luca, I need you to bring Rossetti in quietly. Don't tell him why. After he hangs up, he looks at me with something I recognize as respect. You have a gift for this. For finding thieves, for seeing patterns others miss, for thinking strategically. He closes the laptop. I could use that skill if you're interested. In what exactly? Learning how the organization actually works. Not just the violence you've witnessed, but the business side. We're not all guns and intimidation. Most of what we do is logistics, finance, negotiations. The offer surprises me. You want me involved in your business. I want you to understand it, to be equipped. If something happens to me, you need to know who to trust, what's actually happening, how to protect yourself. He takes my hand. And if I'm being honest, I want your partnership. You're brilliant, Elena. That shouldn't go to waste. I think about Marcus, who wanted me small and scared. About Domenico, who's offering to share his empire. We start the next day. Domenico walks me through the structure of his organization, the hierarchy, the territories, the various business fronts, both legal and less so. He introduces me to his captains, men who initially view me with skepticism that shifts when Domenico makes clear I have his full confidence. I learn codes, signals, how to read situations, which conversations mean conflict brewing, which mean opportunity, how money flows through legitimate channels to wash illegal earnings. The complexity is staggering. We're not good guys, Domenico says during one lesson. But we have rules. We protect our territory and the people in it. We provide jobs, security, justice when the legal system fails. It's not perfect, but it's ours. And the violence is a last resort. Most disputes are settled through negotiation or economic pressure. But when someone breaks the code, when they threaten what's ours, yes, we respond with force. I'm not naive enough to think this makes it okay, but I understand it better now. The world Domenico inhabits operates by different rules than the one I came from. To survive in it, to truly be his partner, I need to learn those rules. After 2 weeks of intensive education, I sit in on my first actual business meeting. 5 of Domenico's captains discussing territory expansion into New Jersey. I say nothing, just observe, taking mental notes. But when they reach an impasse about cost distribution, I see the solution they're missing. What if you structured it as a shared investment with tiered returns based on contribution? That way, risk is distributed, but reward scales appropriately. The room goes quiet. The men exchange glances. You shouldn't have watched that. You gave me the choice. And if you're terrified of me now, I'll understand. He moves to the windows, staring out at the city. That's what I am, Elena. What I do, I judge, I punish. I make decisions about life and death. I cross the room slowly, my heart hammering for reasons that have nothing to do with fear. Would you have really killed him if he'd drawn that weapon? Without hesitation. He's your cousin. He was my cousin. Now he's a traitor. Domenico turns to face me. Does that scare you? It should. I stop a few feet away from him. But mostly I'm impressed by the restraint. You could have killed him. Your men expected you to. You chose mercy instead. That wasn't mercy. That was strategy. His death would have started a war with his father's side of the family. Banishment sends a message without spilling blood. It's still a choice. A harder one than violence would have been. He studies me with those dark, intense eyes. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone who would run screaming the moment they saw this side of me. I've lived with a monster for 3 years. You're not one. But I don't want to be helpless anymore. I don't want to hide in back rooms while things happen around me. What are you asking? Teach me. Self-defense. How to protect myself. I never want to feel powerless again. Domenico is quiet for a long moment. It won't be easy. Training means pain, exhaustion, pushing past your limits. I'm tired of being fragile. Something like pride flickers across his face. Tomorrow morning, 6 a. The gym is on the 2nd floor. Wear comfortable clothes. The next morning, I discover Domenico's gym is better equipped than most commercial facilities. Weights, machines, mats, and a boxing ring that looks well used. He's already there when I arrive, wearing training pants and a fitted shirt that shows exactly how lethal he is, even without weapons. His shoulder is healing well, almost back to full mobility. First lesson, he says, self-defense isn't about fighting fair. It's about surviving. Forget everything you've learned about being nice. If someone attacks you, hurt them badly enough that they can't continue. Okay, show me how you throw a punch. I make a fist and swing awkwardly. He catches my wrist easily. You'll break your thumb like that. He adjusts my hand. His fingers warm against my skin. Thumb outside. Power comes from your legs and core, not your arm. Like this. He demonstrates. The movement is efficient, controlled, devastating. We spend 2 hours on basic strikes, punches, palm strikes, elbows. My muscles scream, but I don't stop. Can't stop. Every movement is reclaiming power Marcus stole from me. Domenico is patient, correcting my form repeatedly, never frustrated. When I finally land a proper strike on the training pad he's holding, his approval is genuine. Better again. By the end of the week, training becomes my favorite part of each day. But something in me rebels against hiding anymore. I'll stay. Domenico studies my face. You're sure? I want to understand your world if I'm living in it. He nods slowly. Then stay in the library. Watch if you need to, but don't intervene. Whatever you see, whatever you hear, it's necessary. The men continue arriving. I count 23 before I lose track. They fill the living room, standing in formation like soldiers awaiting orders. Domenico moves among them, speaking to each briefly, his presence commanding without being loud. Luca arrives with another man in tow. This one is younger, maybe late 20s, with dark hair and features similar to Domenico's. Family resemblance is unmistakable. Matteo. Domenico's voice could cut glass. Thank you for joining us. What's this about? Matteo's bravado is undermined by the tremor in his voice. He knows. Whatever he did, he knows he's caught. Gentlemen, Domenico addresses the room. 10 days ago, someone leaked information about our shipment routes to the McCarthy family in Boston. 3 of our trucks were intercepted. Merchandise worth $2 million was stolen. 2 of our drivers were killed. The temperature in the room drops. Every man goes still. I've spent those 10 days tracking the leak, following the money, tracing communication patterns. Domenico pulls out a folder, tosses it onto the coffee table. Matteo, care to explain why your personal account received $50,000 from a McCarthy shell company the day before the attack? Matteo's face drains of color. That's not what it looks like. Then explain what it looks like. I don't have to explain anything to you. Wrong answer. I can see it in how every man in the room shifts slightly, hands moving toward weapons they haven't drawn yet. Domenico's expression doesn't change, but something about him becomes more dangerous. You're right. You don't have to explain. The evidence speaks clearly enough. You sold out your family for $50,000 and a promise that the McCarthys would back your claim to leadership. You're paranoid. That money was a loan from our enemies. Return to them with our confidential information. Domenico steps closer. You killed 2 of our men, Matteo. Anthony left behind 3 kids. Joseph had a pregnant wife. Their blood is on your hands. Those men were expendable. The room erupts, not with noise, but with motion. 23 men moving as one, drawing weapons, advancing on Matteo, who realizes too late that he's made his final mistake. Enough. Domenico's voice cuts through the tension. The men freeze. Matteo, you're my cousin. My blood. That used to mean something. It still means I should be leading this family, not you. Your father was weak. He let sentiment cloud judgment. You're the same. My father was a monster who beat my mother to death. I am nothing like him. Domenico's voice is ice. But you're right about one thing. I do let sentiment influence my decisions. That's why you're going to walk out of here alive. But he saved me, Riley. Not just from Marcus, from myself, from giving up. But at what cost? I don't know yet. But I'm choosing this. Eyes open, heart willing. She wants to argue more. I see it in her face. But the waitress arrives, and we order sandwiches. Shift to safer topics. She tells me about her job, her apartment, her latest dating disaster. I laugh for the first time in days. We're halfway through lunch when everything goes wrong. The front window explodes inward. Glass shrapnel everywhere. Someone screams. Luca is moving before I process what's happening, throwing me to the floor, his body covering mine. Gunfire. Rapid controlled bursts. I can't see anything except Luca's back. Feel his weight pressing me into the floor. Around us, shouting in Spanish. Return fire from Domenico's men. Then Luca jerks. Goes heavy. I feel wetness spreading across my shoulder where his chest presses against me. My voice is too high. Too scared. He doesn't answer. Someone grabs my arm, hauls me up. Not Luca. A stranger with cold eyes and a gun pressed to my temple. Move and I shoot, he says in accented English. I freeze. Can't breathe. Can't think. The shooting has stopped. I see Luca on the ground bleeding. 2 other guards down. The 4th is backing away, hands raised, outgunned. Where's Riley? I spot her under a table, phone in hand, terror on her face, but alive. Relief crashes through me. The man holding me says something in Spanish to his companions. They laugh. Then he's dragging me toward the shattered window, toward a black van, idling at the curb. I try to fight. Use techniques Domenico taught me, but the gun at my head makes every movement a calculated risk. He shoves me into the van, and everything goes dark as someone pulls a bag over my head. The van moves. I count turns trying to maintain orientation. Left, right, straight for what feels like 10 minutes. Right again. My training with Domenico surfaces through the panic. Observe. Remember, survive. They remove the hood in what smells like an abandoned warehouse. Concrete floor, rusted metal walls, minimal lighting, industrial area, probably Queens based on the drive time. There are 6 of them. I count, all armed, all watching me with varying degrees of interest. The leader steps forward, older, maybe 50, with a scar running from his temple to his jaw. You are Domenico Torino's woman. Carlos Mendez, Cartel Dello. He circles me slowly. Your man has something I want. Port access territory. He refuses to negotiate. So now we negotiate differently. He won't give you anything because you took me. Mendez smiles. We'll see. One of his men sets up a camera. Mendez pulls me to my feet, positions me in frame. When I try to resist, someone hits me hard. My vision whites out. Blood fills my mouth. Look at the camera. Mendez orders. Glare into the lens with all the hatred I can summon. Mendez films for 30 seconds, then nods. The camera stops. Send it. Let Torino see what we have. They tie me to a chair. After that, industrial zip ties that cut into my wrists. My face throbs where I was hit. I can feel my lips swelling. Taste blood. I force myself to focus through the pain. 6 men, 2 exits I can see, 1 loading dock door, 1 regular door. Guards rotate every hour. They speak Spanish, assuming I don't understand, but I catch enough. Domenico has 6 hours to respond to their demands. After that, they start sending pieces of me. Brooks's voice echoes in my head. Techniques for managing panic. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. I do it again and again until my heart rate slows from crisis to just terrified. Time passes in a blur. I don't know how long. Could be 2 hours. Could be 5. The warehouse is cold. My body aches, but I stay focused. Stay alert. Watch for opportunities. Then I hear it. Distant. The sound of vehicles approaching fast. Mendez hears it, too. He's on his feet, barking orders. His men move to positions, weapons ready. The loading dock door explodes inward. I scream reflexively. Can't help it. Smoke fills the space. Gunfire erupts from every direction. I can't see anything. Can't do anything except press myself as flat as possible in the chair, trying to become small, invisible, anything to avoid the bullets flying past. The shooting is deafening. Organized chaos. Domenico's men moving like a military unit. Mendez's men falling back. Outmatched. A figure emerges from the smoke. Domenico moving with lethal precision. Weapon raised. Face a mask of cold fury I've never seen before. Our eyes meet. Relief crashes through his expression for 1 second before it hardens again. He's still in battle mode. He reaches me, cuts the zip ties with a knife, pulls me up. Are you hit? No, just bruised. Can you walk? Stay behind me. Don't look, but I do look. Bodies everywhere. Blood spreading across concrete. Mendez trying to crawl toward an exit. Domenico leaves me with one of his men and crosses to Mendez. Puts a bullet in his head without hesitation. Execution final. Then he's back, pulling me toward the exit. Outside, 3 SUVs wait. Luca is there, bandaged but alive, directing operations. I nearly sob with relief. Domenico pushes me into the back seat, climbs in after. The vehicle moves before the door closes. Hospital, he barks to the driver. I'm okay, I protest. You're bleeding and bruised. Hospital. My classroom feels the same, but I'm different. Stronger, more present. Sophia nearly tackles me when I walk into the teacher's lounge. Elena, oh my God, I was so worried. We all were. I am now. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I pushed you away. You're my friend. I wasn't going anywhere. She pulls back to look at me. You seem different. Different. A lot has changed. I'll explain over coffee sometime. I'm holding you to that. My students are excited to have me back. 23 third graders with so much energy and enthusiasm. It's overwhelming in the best way. I'd forgotten how much I love this. How teaching gives me purpose beyond survival. The routine helps. Lesson plans, grading papers, parent conferences, normal things that make me feel human again. 15 weeks after that first night in the hospital, Domenico takes me to dinner at an Italian restaurant I've never seen before. The entire place is empty except for us. Did you rent out the whole restaurant? I ask, seated on the rooftop terrace. I own it. Figured privacy would be appreciated tonight. The Manhattan skyline glitters around us. 1,000 lights promising infinite possibilities. Dinner is perfect. Conversation flowing easily like it always does between us. Now after dessert, Domenico stands and comes around to my side of the table. Then he kneels. My heart stops. 3.5 months ago, you walked into an emergency room thinking your life was over. Instead, you changed mine completely. He pulls out a small velvet box. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You've survived things that would break most people and come out the other side more beautiful for it. I love you more than I knew was possible to love another human being. He opens the box. The ring inside is stunning antique with a diamond that catches light like captured stars. This belonged to my grandmother, the only Torino marriage that actually worked according to family history. His voice is steady, but his hands shake slightly. I'm not promising you easy. I'm not promising you safe. But I'm promising you partnership, equality, love that doesn't diminish you, but celebrates everything you are. Will you marry me? I slide off my chair to kneel in front of him, taking his face in my hands. Absolutely yes. He kisses me like I'm oxygen, and he's been drowning. The ring slides onto my finger perfectly, heavy with history and promise. In my world, wives aren't property, he says when we break apart. They're queens, equal partners in everything. That's what I'm offering you. That's what I'm accepting. I look at the ring, at him, at the city spread below us. Whenever you want. Take time to plan if you need it. 10 weeks, I decide. Small ceremony. Just people we actually care about. 10 weeks. He agrees. We stay on that rooftop for another hour, planning our future, talking about everything and nothing. When we finally leave, his hand never lets go of mine. She hugs me again. Okay, I trust you. And for what it's worth, he looks at you like you matter. That's something. After Riley leaves, Domenico and I clean up together in comfortable silence. When the last dish is put away, he turns to me. She's protective. She has reason to be. I've made bad choices before, and now, I'm trying to make better ones. We drift to the balcony, looking out over Manhattan, lit up like stars brought to Earth. The air is cool, but not cold. Domenico stands close enough that I can feel his warmth. Thank you, I say quietly, for everything. For saving me, for giving me space. For arranging therapy and letting Riley visit and just being patient. You don't need to thank me. I do, though. I turn to face him. You've given me my life back. You did that yourself. I just provided resources. Domenico, I step closer. Stop being noble for 1 second and let me be grateful. He laughs softly. All right. You're welcome. The space between us is charged. Electric. I've felt this building for weeks. During training sessions when his hands adjusted my stance at breakfast when our eyes met over coffee. Late at night when I lay in bed knowing he was just down the hall. I'm tired of pretending I don't feel it. I close the distance and kiss him for a heartbeat. He freezes. Then his control shatters, and he's kissing me back with an intensity that steals my breath. His hand cups the back of my head, fingers threading through my hair, my hands fist in his shirt, pulling him closer. When we break apart, we're both breathing hard. Elena, his voice is rough. Are you sure? Because if we do this, it changes everything. I'm sure. I've been sure for weeks. You're healing. You're vulnerable. I don't want to take advantage. I kiss him again to shut him up. This time he doesn't hesitate. Lifts me easily, my legs wrapping around his waist as he carries me inside. We don't make it to a bedroom. Fall onto the couch in a tangle of limbs and desperate kisses. Clothes disappear. His hands map my body like he's memorizing territory. I explore the hard planes of his chest. The scars that tell stories he hasn't shared yet. When he enters me, it's slow and deliberate. Not rushed, not desperate, just profound in a way that makes my eyes sting. He whispers against my neck. Don't stop. He doesn't. We move together until the world narrows to just this. Just us. Just the feeling of being completely connected to another person in a way I've never experienced. After tangled together on the couch, his fingers trace patterns on my bare shoulder. I've wanted this for a while, he admits. Me too. I just didn't know if you felt the same, Elena. He tilts my face up to look at him. I haven't felt this way about anyone ever. It terrifies me. Because you matter. And in my world, things that matter become targets. Then we'll be careful. There's something you need to know. The cartel Dello. They've been pushing for access to territory I control. It's coordinated, Lucas says. Weapon already drawn. They're trying to split our forces. Domenico is on his feet, barking orders into his phone. Mobilize everyone. Defend the warehouses. Secure the ports. I'm coordinating from here. Boss, you should evacuate. I'm not leaving. His eyes meet mine. Neither of us are. The penthouse transforms into a command center. Maps spread across the dining table. Radio chatter filling the air. Domenico directing his people with military precision while I stand to the side. Glock in hand, watching it all unfold. Warehouse 3 is holding. Someone reports. Heavy casualties on their side. Port Authority reports cartel retreat. Another voice crackles through the radio. It's working. Domenico's people are repelling the attacks, but something feels wrong. The coordination, the timing. This is a diversion, I say suddenly. Domenico looks up. They're attacking everywhere else, so you're distracted. But what you're protecting most is right here. His eyes widen. Luca, roof access now. Luca runs. Too late. The skylight above us explodes inward. Glass rains down. 6 men rappel into the penthouse with military efficiency. Domenico is moving before I process it. Returning fire, taking cover behind the kitchen island. I drop flat, crawl toward the hallway where Luca taught me to position during breach scenarios. One of the attackers advances on Luca's position. Luca's weapon jams. He's exposed, vulnerable. Muscle memory takes over. I sight, breathe, squeeze the trigger. The man drops. I just killed someone. My hands start shaking, but there's no time to process. Another attacker is moving toward Domenico's blind spot. I fire again. Miss, adjust. Hit his shoulder. He goes down. The fight is chaos. Gunfire echoing in the confined space. Smoke from weapons filling the air. Domenico fights with lethal grace. Luca recovers. Joins the defense. Within minutes, it's over. 4 attackers dead, 2 captured. My ears ring from the gunfire. My hands won't stop shaking. Domenico appears in front of me, checking for injuries. Can't do anything except stare at the body of the man I killed. He's maybe 30, young, dead because I pulled the trigger. Domenico's hands frame my face. Look at me. You saved Luca's life. You defended our home. This was necessary. I killed someone. The words come out broken. You survived. That's what matters. But it doesn't feel like survival. It feels like something fundamental has changed inside me. For a beat, the room narrowed to a ringing hush. A bright circle where my breath wouldn't quite catch. My brain labeled the moment. Still alive. And only then did the wider world rush back in. Boots shouted orders, the harsh scrape of glass across stone. The aftermath is mechanical. Domenico's people arrive to clean up, remove bodies, repair damage. Police don't come. In Domenico's world, these things are handled internally. His arms around me feel like home, like safety, like everything I've ever wanted. 4 months ago, I whisper. I was dying slowly in that apartment with Marcus. I thought I'd never escape, never be free, never find real love. And now, I'm married to the most dangerous man in Manhattan, and I've never felt safer. I pull back to look at him. You gave me my life back, Domenico. But more than that, you gave me a life worth living. I just provided the opportunity. Then thank you for the opportunity and for everything that came after. He kisses me deep and slow and full of promise. When we break apart, he lifts me into his arms. Let's go start our honeymoon. Our suite in the barn has been transformed. Candles everywhere. Rose petals on the bed. Champagne chilling. We make love as husband and wife with an intensity that speaks to everything we've survived to reach this moment. Every touch is worship. Every kiss is promise. Every breath shared between us is choosing each other again and again. After tangled in sheets, Domenico's fingers trace the engagement ring now paired with a wedding band. I love you, Mrs. Torino. I love you too. I fall asleep in his arms, completely at peace. Morning comes soft and golden. I wake before Domenico. Take a moment to just watch him sleep. This man who rules an empire with iron control looks almost vulnerable in sleep. Human mind. I think about the journey that brought me here. The hospital, the fear, the training, the kidnapping, the killing. Every moment built toward this. Toward choosing strength over fear, partnership over submission, love over safety. Domenico's eyes open. Find mine immediately. He smiles. Good morning, wife. Good morning, husband. Ready for whatever comes next. I think about it. About the world we live in, the dangers still present, the choices I'll have to make. And I realize the answer is simple with you always. Because that's what this is, what we are. Two survivors who found each other in the darkness and chose to build something unbreakable together. It's not perfect. It's not safe, but it's ours. And I wouldn't change a single thing. 6 months into our marriage, the honeymoon period ends with a phone call at 3 a.m. Domenico answers on the first ring, his voice instantly alert despite having been deep in sleep moments before. Yes. His tone grows darker as he listens. When? How many? He's already moving, reaching for clothes. I understand. 20 minutes. He hangs up and turns to me, his expression grim in the dim light filtering through our bedroom windows. What's wrong? I ask, though I already know it's serious. The Kozlov family from Brighton Beach. They've made a move against our shipping operations. 3 warehouses hit simultaneously. We lost 12 men. The words hit me like ice water. 12 men. People I might have met, whose families depended on them. I'm sorry. He kisses my forehead, already dressed and reaching for his shoulder holster. I have to go. This can't wait until morning. I know. Be careful. Always am. But there's something different in his eyes tonight. A hardness I haven't seen since the early days. This isn't just business. This is war. After he leaves, I can't sleep. I pace the penthouse, watching the city lights blur through rain-streaked windows. By dawn, I've made a decision. I'm not going to sit here waiting anymore. I need to understand what we're really facing. Luca returns with Domenico just after sunrise, both of them looking like they've aged years in one night. The Kozlovs hit us hard, Domenico says without preamble. Professional execution. Military precision. This wasn't random violence. Someone gave them detailed intelligence about our operations. Another betrayal. The word hangs in the air between us. After Matteo, we thought we cleaned house, but clearly we missed something. Or someone. I pour coffee for both men, noting the exhaustion in their faces. What's the damage? 3 warehouses destroyed. 40 million in merchandise lost. But the real cost is the message they're sending. That we're vulnerable. That we can be hit. Other families will take notice. Domenico runs a hand through his hair. We need to respond, but carefully. Too aggressive, and we start a war we might not win. Too passive, and everyone thinks we're weak. Can I help? Both men look at me. I know these people, their businesses, their financial structures. Maybe I can find a different kind of leverage. Something that doesn't require more bloodshed. Domenico studies my face for a long moment. The Kozlovs aren't like us. They don't operate by the same rules. They're brutal, unpredictable. I understand the risks. But 12 men are dead because someone wanted to send you a message. Maybe it's time to send one back that doesn't involve more funerals. That afternoon, I dive into research. The Kozlov organization is vast and complex, but like any criminal enterprise, it depends on money flowing through legitimate channels. I spend hours tracing shell companies, offshore accounts, real estate holdings. By evening, I have a strategy. Viktor Kozlov has 3 weaknesses, I tell Domenico over dinner. His ego, his son, and his casino operations in Atlantic City. The casino is his pride and joy. It's also completely dependent on credit lines from banks that value their reputations above short-term profits. What are you suggesting? A whisper campaign. Financial pressure. I have contacts in banking from my previous life. People who remember me as competent and trustworthy. If certain irregularities in the casino's books were to come to light, if questions were raised about the source of their operating capital, those credit lines would disappear overnight. Domenico sets down his fork. You want to destroy their legitimate business. I want to make them understand that attacking us has consequences beyond violence, that we can hurt them in ways they don't expect, through channels they can't fight with guns. It takes 3 weeks to orchestrate. Phone calls to former colleagues, carefully planted stories in financial publications, anonymous tips to regulatory agencies. I work mostly at night, while Domenico handles the more traditional aspects of the conflict. The breakthrough comes when Sophia, whom I've stayed close with despite my new life, mentions over lunch that her brother works for the Securities Exchange Commission. One careful conversation later, and the Kozlov Casino is facing a full financial audit. The pressure works. Viktor Kozlov requests a meeting. Neutral Ground, a restaurant in Little Italy that's been hosting such discussions for 60 years. Domenico wants to go alone, but I insist on accompanying him. This was my strategy. I should see it through. The restaurant is empty except for our parties. Viktor Kozlov is exactly what I expected. Tall, broad, with scars on his hands and eyes that have seen too much violence. He brings 2 men. We bring Luca and another guard. You're the wife, Viktor says to me in accented English. His tone makes it clear what he thinks of women in business. I'm his partner. I correct him. The distinction matters. Viktor laughs, but there's no humor in it. In my culture, wives stay home. Cook, clean, make babies. Not in ours. Domenico's voice is steady. My wife is here because she's the one who brought your casino to its knees. Viktor's expression changes. The laughter dies. You did this. The audit. The credit freeze. You cost me $30 million in 3 weeks. And you cost us 12 good men and $40 million in merchandise. I gesture to the empty space between our tables. The difference is, my approach didn't require anyone to die. He stares at me for a long moment, then turns to Domenico. Your woman has balls. I'll give her that. But this isn't over. It is if you're smart, Domenico replies. Elena showed you what we can do without firing a shot. Imagine what happens if you force us to escalate. The meeting ends without bloodshed. Viktor and his men leave first. When they're gone, Domenico turns to me with something like amazement in his eyes. You just faced down one of the most dangerous men in New York and told him his business was inferior to yours. I told him the truth. Violence is expensive and unpredictable. Fear is cheap and reliable. He pulls me close, kisses me hard. Remind me never to get on your bad side. You never have to worry about that. The Kozlov situation stabilizes, but it marks a turning point in my role within the organization. Word spreads that Domenico's wife isn't just window dressing, that she's a strategist, someone who can find solutions that don't involve traditional methods. Other families start requesting my input on financial disputes. I become something new in their world. A woman with real power who earned it through competence rather than inheritance or marriage alone. But with greater visibility comes greater risk. 6 weeks after the Kozlov meeting, I'm leaving my school when a black sedan pulls up to the curb. Not one of ours. I recognize the danger immediately and start moving toward the building, but they're faster. 3 men, professional, efficient. They don't hurt me, just guide me firmly into the car. No struggling, no screaming, just the quick, practiced movements of people who've done this before. The ride takes 40 minutes. Long enough for me to understand that this isn't random. Someone has been watching, planning, waiting for the right moment. They take me to a warehouse in Queens, different from the one where Carlos Mendez held me, but with the same industrial smell of oil and rust. My captor is a woman this time. Mid-40s, elegant in an expensive suit, with the kind of cold beauty that suggests she's never had to rely on warmth to get what she wants. Mrs. Torino, she says with a slight accent I can't place. Russian maybe, or Eastern European. My name is Natasha Volkov. I represent certain interests that have been affected by your recent activities. I don't respond immediately. Instead, I look around the space, counting exits, noting the positions of her 4 guards. All men, all armed, but they're treating this like a business meeting, not an interrogation. That gives me hope. You cost my associate Viktor Kozlov a considerable amount of money, Natasha continues. More importantly, you embarrassed him. In our world, that's often worse than financial loss. Then perhaps Viktor should have thought before attacking my husband's operations. She smiles, but it doesn't reach her eyes. You have a point. Viktor can be impulsive, but you've created a larger problem. Other families are starting to think that traditional methods of dispute resolution are becoming obsolete. That perhaps they need consultants like you rather than soldiers like Victor. And that threatens your business model. Exactly. War is profitable for people like me. I broker weapons, mercenaries, safe passage for fugitives. If conflicts start being resolved through financial manipulation and regulatory pressure, my services become less valuable. I understand your concern, but I'm not going to apologize for finding better solutions than bloodshed. I'm not asking you to apologize. I'm asking you to be more selective about the problems you solve. Some conflicts need traditional resolution. Your interference is unwelcome. The implicit threat hangs in the air between us. I think about my options. I could try to negotiate, promise to stay out of certain disputes. But that would be a lie, and she probably knows it. Instead, I decide on honesty. I can't make that promise. When I see people dying over problems that have better solutions, I'm going to speak up. That's who I am. Natasha nods as if she expected this answer. Then we have a problem. Your husband is powerful, but not invulnerable. Accidents happen in our business. People disappear. Even people as careful as Domenico Torino. The message is clear. Back off or lose everything. But I've learned something important over the past year. Fear only works if you let it. I'm not backing down. And if something happens to my husband, you'll discover that I learned more from him than just financial analysis. I know where you live, Natasha. I know about your daughter at Columbia University. Your safe deposit boxes in Switzerland. Your backup identities. If Domenico dies under suspicious circumstances, you'll find out how creative I can be with that information. It's a bluff, mostly. I have some intelligence on her operations, but nothing like what I'm claiming. But my tone is steady, confident, and she can't be sure what I actually know. For the first time since I arrived, uncertainty flickers across her face. She studies me for a long moment, then signals to her men. You're more like your husband than I expected, she says finally. That's not necessarily a compliment. Take her back where you found her. The drive back is silent. They drop me at the school parking lot and disappear into traffic without a word. I stand there for 10 minutes, heart racing, before calling Luca. When I tell Domenico what happened, his reaction is immediate and furious. He wants to mobilize every resource we have, burn down half of Brighton Beach if necessary, to send a message that threatening me has consequences. It takes an hour to convince him that violence isn't the answer this time either. Natasha is testing us, I explain. She wants to see if we'll react predictably, prove that we're just another crime family that solves problems with guns. If we give her the war she's expecting, she wins regardless of who survives. What are you suggesting? The same thing that worked with Victor. Hit her where it actually hurts. Her business depends on reputation and connections. If her clients start questioning her reliability, her judgment, her ability to deliver on promises, she becomes worthless to them. Over the next month, I wage a different kind of war. Anonymous tips to federal agencies about her arms dealing. Carefully leaked information about her smuggling routes. Questions raised about her relationships with certain high-profile clients. Nothing that can be traced back to us, but enough to make her toxic to potential business partners. The pressure builds slowly, but inexorably. Her prices go up as her risks increase. Clients start looking for alternatives. Revenue streams dry up. By Christmas, 3 months after our warehouse meeting, Natasha Volkov is a liability to her own organization. She disappears one night, reportedly relocated to somewhere in Eastern Europe where her skills are still valued. The message spreads through the underworld. The Torino family doesn't just have traditional muscle. They have something new, something harder to fight. A woman who can destroy you without ever touching a weapon. My reputation grows, but so does my isolation from normal life. Teaching becomes increasingly difficult as parents and administrators start asking questions about why their children's instructor has armed guards. Eventually, I make the decision to step back, to focus entirely on my role within Domenico's organization. It's not an easy choice. I love teaching, love working with children, love the normalcy it represented. But I love Domenico more, and our life together, strange and dangerous as it is, feels more authentic than any classroom ever did. By spring, I'm officially retired from education and unofficially established as the Torino family's strategic consultant. Other families start requesting my services for complex disputes, always through intermediaries, always with the understanding that my first loyalty is to Domenico, but gradually I become something unique in our world. A neutral party who can see solutions that others miss. The work is intellectually satisfying in ways I never expected. Each problem is a puzzle, a challenge that requires understanding not just the immediate conflict, but the larger web of relationships and interests that surround it. I help resolve a territorial dispute between two families by showing them how cooperation would be more profitable than competition. I broker a peace agreement by finding a face-saving compromise that lets both sides claim victory. I expose a federal informant who was playing multiple families against each other for personal gain. But the most important case comes in late summer. A young woman approaches me through Sophia, who has become my unofficial liaison with the civilian world. Her name is Carmen, and she's trapped in a situation that reminds me painfully of my own past. Her boyfriend is violent, controlling, connected to a mid-level criminal organization that makes her afraid to leave or seek help through normal channels. She's heard about me through whispers, rumors about a woman who helps solve problems that the police can't or won't touch. The case is personal for me in ways that go beyond professional interest. Looking at Carmen, seeing the fear in her eyes, the careful way she moves as if expecting a blow, I see my own past reflected back. When I was her, sitting in that emergency room, Domenico gave me a choice. Now I can offer the same thing to someone else. But Carmen's situation is more complicated than mine was. Marcus was an unemployed alcoholic with no real connections. Carmen's boyfriend, Diego, is a lieutenant in a drug organization with resources and reach. Simply removing him could trigger a larger conflict that would hurt innocent people. Instead, I design a more elegant solution. Through careful investigation, I discover that Diego has been skimming money from his organization while blaming revenue shortfalls on external factors. Rather than expose him directly, I arrange for evidence of his theft to be discovered by his superiors in a way that makes his downfall seem like natural consequence rather than external interference. Diego disappears, not through violence, but through the simple economic reality that thieves can't survive long in organizations that depend on trust. Carmen gets her freedom without becoming the center of a gang war. The success of Carmen's case brings me more clients, women mostly, trapped in situations where traditional law enforcement is inadequate or unavailable. Each case teaches me something new about the intersection of legitimate and criminal power structures. I learned to navigate federal agencies, regulatory bodies, financial institutions, and law enforcement with the same ease I once brought to parent-teacher conferences. But the work also changes me. Each problem I solve requires me to think like the people I'm fighting against, to understand their motivations, anticipate their reactions, manipulate their weaknesses. The line between justice and revenge becomes increasingly blurred. There are nights when I lie awake wondering if I'm becoming the kind of person I once feared. Domenico notices my struggles. He finds me one evening on our balcony, staring out at the city lights, lost in thoughts I can't share. "You're thinking too much," he says, settling beside me with 2 glasses of wine. It's an occupational hazard. He's quiet for a moment, then asks the question I've been dreading. "Do you miss teaching?" "Every day, but not enough to go back." He takes my hand. "You know you could. We have enough money, enough security. You could return to a normal life if that's what you want." I could, I agree. But would I still be the same person who fell in love with you? Would we still work together if I went back to grading spelling tests and planning field trips? He doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his voice is careful. "I fell in love with a woman who was brave enough to rebuild her entire life, who saw possibilities where others saw only problems. Teaching was just one expression of that. Whatever you choose to do, you'll still be that person." It's the right answer, but we both know the truth. I've crossed too many lines, made too many compromises, seen too much of the world's hidden machinery to ever return to the innocent simplicity of my former life. This is who I am now. Someone who solves unsolvable problems for people who live outside normal society. By our first anniversary, I've handled 37 cases. Some big, some small, all requiring a different kind of thinking than either traditional crime families or law enforcement agencies typically employ. My success rate is perfect, which brings its own problems. Success breeds expectation. Other families start assuming that any complex problem can be solved if they just bring it to the right consultant. The pressure to maintain that perfect record becomes overwhelming. The case that breaks my streak comes from an unexpected source. Vincent Rossetti, the financial manager whose embezzlement I discovered in my first week working with Domenico, approaches me through intermediaries 18 months after his banishment from our organization. He's found work with a smaller family, been clean for over a year, and now claims to have information about a federal investigation that could destroy multiple criminal organizations simultaneously. The information is credible, but Vincent wants something in return. Not money, not protection, but a chance to prove that he's changed. He wants to work with us again, to earn back a place in Domenico's organization. It's a test case for everything I've learned about redemption and second chances. Domenico is firmly opposed. Once someone betrays the family, they're gone permanently. That's always been the rule, and exceptions lead to weakness. But Vincent's information is genuinely valuable. He's uncovered evidence that a task force of federal agents has been building cases against 7 different criminal families simultaneously, using a network of informants and surveillance technology that goes far beyond anything we've previously suspected. The question becomes whether the intelligence is worth the risk of trusting someone who has already proven himself untrustworthy. I spend weeks investigating Vincent's claims, verifying the information through independent sources, trying to understand his motivations. The intelligence checks out. The federal operation is real, massive, and coming much sooner than any of us anticipated. But I can't shake the feeling that something about Vincent's offer doesn't add up. The answer comes when I trace the source of his information. Vincent hasn't just stumbled across evidence of federal investigation. He's been cultivating a relationship with one of the agents involved, feeding him carefully selected information while gathering intelligence in return. He's not trying to help us. He's running a long-term play to position himself as the key witness in what will inevitably be the largest organized crime prosecution in decades. When I present my findings to Domenico, his reaction is swift and decisive. Vincent dies that night, quietly, without fanfare or publicity. His information was accurate, but his intentions were poison. It's my first direct involvement in ordering someone's death, even if I didn't pull the trigger myself. The weight of that decision follows me for weeks afterward. I tell myself it was necessary, that Vincent would have destroyed dozens of families and sent hundreds of people to prison. But knowing something is necessary doesn't make it easy to live with. The federal investigation Vincent warned us about proceeds on schedule, but without his testimony and cooperation, it yields disappointing results. A few mid-level arrests, some financial penalties, nothing like the sweeping prosecutions that were originally planned. Our world adapts, evolves, finds new ways to operate around increased scrutiny. Life continues. But the Vincent case teaches me something important about the limits of redemption. Not everyone can be saved. Not every problem has a solution that preserves everyone's humanity. Sometimes the best outcome requires accepting terrible choices. As our second anniversary approaches, I find myself reflecting on the journey that brought me here. From a terrified woman in an emergency room to someone who can order executions and sleep peacefully afterward. The transformation should horrify me, but instead it feels like the natural progression of someone who has finally found their true calling. I'm not the same person who taught third grade and believed that every conflict could be resolved through patient conversation. I'm someone harder, more pragmatic, willing to use whatever tools are necessary to protect the people and principles I value most. The work I do now saves lives, prevents wars, brings justice to situations where traditional systems fail. It also requires me to make moral compromises that would have been unthinkable 2 years ago. But looking at Domenico across our dinner table, seeing the respect and love in his eyes, knowing that together we've built something unique and powerful, I have no regrets about the choices that brought me here. On our anniversary night, he takes me back to the same rooftop restaurant where he proposed. We're alone again, the entire place reserved for just us. The city spreads out below, millions of lights representing millions of lives that continue their ordinary existence while we navigate the shadows between legal and illegal, moral and necessary. Thank you, he says simply, raising his glass. For what this time? For becoming exactly who you were meant to be. For not letting my world diminish you. For making me better than I was alone. I touch my wedding ring, remembering the woman who said yes in this same spot 24 months ago. She thought she was accepting a life of danger and moral complexity. She had no idea she was choosing to become someone who could reshape that world according to her own vision of justice. We make love that night with the intensity of people who have seen the worst the world has to offer and chosen each other anyway. Afterward, lying in his arms, I think about the future we're building together. There will be more cases, more difficult choices, more situations that require solutions only we can provide. But whatever comes next, we'll face it as partners, equals, two people who found each other in the darkness and chose to build something unbreakable together. The story could end here, with promises of challenges overcome and love that conquers all. But I know better now. Real life doesn't provide neat endings or permanent victories. There will always be new threats, new moral dilemmas, new tests of everything we've built together. What matters is not the destination, but the choice to keep walking the path we've chosen, whatever shadows it leads us through. And as I fall asleep in Domenico's arms, surrounded by the quiet luxury of our penthouse fortress, I know I'll keep choosing this life, this man, this version of myself that emerged from the wreckage of who I used to be. It's not perfect, it's not safe, but it's ours, and I wouldn't change a single thing.